It's Super Bowl or bust in Baltimore for Lamar Jackson. This is a team where they should have been reached a Super Bowl, if we're being honest. I can go back probably 2 years ago when they had home field advantage in the AFC title game against Patrick Mahomes and KC. But when you have Lamar Jackson, who is an MVP talent, he has two of them to be exact. He's one of the elite quarterbacks in the game right now. After so many of y'all doubted him, by the way, going into this 2025 season, I have not much to say about the Baltimore Ravens, except for the fact that it's Super Bowl or bust. Before I really go in, let me just tell you now, I love Lamar Jackson. I think Lamar gets so much unnecessary hate and criticism at times, but I understand that there is pressure on him to go win the big one. He has the talent to go out and win the big one. Will he do it this year? I think he has a great chance. You bring back Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry unlocked this offense to some degree. They were unstoppable when it came to running the football. Their passing game isn't bad. It's not great either, but it's weird because Lamar can get production out of it. Zay Flowers isn't necessarily a true number one. He has the talent to eventually get there. Rashad Bateman is a good number two. You bring in D-Hop this past offseason. D-Hop should be able to be a good wide receiver 3, along with bringing in that veteran experience. The success of the Baltimore Ravens will again lie heavily upon running the football. If they can remain dominant there, they won't breeze past this regular season, but they will continue to have success when it comes to winning football games. Where their postseason success, however, lies is on Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, and I looked at the stats, you compare him to the regular season, and then you compare him to the postseason. In some ways, he's like the modern day Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning was great regular season. Postseason, his play dipped. And unfortunately, that's been the case with Lamar. He's gotten better the last couple of years for sure, but the numbers are still not in his favor. Regular season-wise, he has a 102 passer rating. However, in the postseason, he has an 84.6 passer rating. It gets a little bit worse, unfortunately. In the regular season, Lamar Jackson does not turn the football over. I don't have the exact numbers. When you get to the postseason, however, that's where it gets worse. The turnovers increase. Now, I do want to offer a bit of the eye test. Going back to that divisional round against the Buffalo Bills, that first half, he was not efficient. He didn't have much of an impact on the game. That second half, though, he flipped it around, and he was able to get the Ravens in a position to go and win that game. Unfortunately, Mark Andrews has the drop on the 2-point conversion. When it comes to Lamar Jackson, we have yet to have that signature postseason run. We've had some good to decent games from him, but we haven't had that signature playoff moment yet. And when it comes to Lamar, I think it's just a matter of time. Will it be this year? Will it be next year? I don't know. Because the AFC is stacked. There's a ton of great teams. There's great quarterbacks. It can really be anyone's moment, realistically speaking. Lamar Jackson has to reach the Super Bowl in order for this to be considered a successful season. MVP talent, as I've mentioned throughout the course of this video. Top 4 quarterback, arguably a top 3 quarterback in some people's eyes, yet he only has one AFC title game appearance. For the critics to get off of his back, so to speak, he has to reach the Super Bowl and potentially win it depending on who they could match up against from the NFC side of things. For me, a Lamar Jackson apologist and defender, for me to actually go out and challenge a lot of these critics, he has to go and reach the Super Bowl. There's no questions about the talent around him, except potentially on the defensive side of things, but I'll get to that in a second. Outside of that, he has the running back. He has a good offensive line. When it comes to that receiver room, they're not world beaters, but they work in tandem with this scheme. Tight end, I find very interesting because they believe in Mark Andrews. They believe that he can bounce back after a subpar season, but also Isaiah Likely isn't getting younger. He has to get an opportunity to be that number one at some point. Back to Lamar. It's not a roster problem for why he hasn't been able to get over the hump. It's just the mental. The mental game has taken effect over him in terms of getting over that hump and playing your best football when it matters most. For Lamar to get over this criticism, he's going to have to execute his demons. And I believe he can do that. And if he reaches the Super Bowl, I'll be rooting for him. Now on to that Baltimore Ravens defense. A defense that was actually good. Their problem was just the secondary. The secondary had the second worst pass defense, giving up about 244 passing yards per game. What was interesting though is that they had a tell of two halves though, because in the first half, they were getting cooked like barbecue chicken. Second half, when Kyle Hamilton got utilized more in pass coverage, they actually tightened up a bit more. So I like the offseason addition of Jair Alexander because they needed that outside help when it comes to the DB position. Not to mention that allows Marlon Humphrey to move to the nickel, which I feel he's more comfortable at when it comes to making plays and making reads. And now when it comes to Kyle Hamilton at that safety position, you can use him in more ways to keep offenses guessing. He's great when it comes to run defense. He's great when it comes to pass coverage. Now, because you have more help, that allows your defense in the secondary to be more unpredictable while also maintaining your options. And I also forgot to mention that they have Malachi Starks. He was a great safety at Georgia. He was great in pass coverage as well. That's yet another option for them to run when they go into their looks in the secondary. We'll see how training camp plays out. I don't think Malachi Starks is going to be a starter. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Starks ends up being in the secondary alongside Kyle Hamilton. We'll see how that plays out in training camp. But going back to Jair Alexander, the biggest concern for him, though, is going to be his health. The last time he played close to a full season was 2022. That's when he played 16 games. Unfortunately, the last 2 seasons, he's only played a combined 14 games. If Jair can stay healthy, he will be elite. That's just a question of whether or not he'll be able to play at least a good amount of games for this Ravens defense. With that being said, I actually like the depth. The more I looked and researched into the secondary going into training camp, they also had Chidobe Awuzie. Sorry if I mispronounced your name, OG. He's coming off of a season with the Titans last year. A Titans defense that, by the way, was under the radar, a really good defense. So that allows the Ravens to have some depth there in the secondary. If this secondary improves in its pass coverage, I felt even more confident that the Ravens will go out and win this division alongside reaching the Super Bowl. Because when you look at this defense in its totality, they have a great pass rush, underrated pass rush because they don't have any household names. You look at their run defense, it's personified by physicality, led by Roquan Smith. This is a unit where if they can clean up their pass coverage, they'll be fine, and they will once again be one of the elite defenses in the National Football League. Y'all already know the drill. Go ahead and let me know in the comments whether or not you think the Baltimore Ravens can reach the Super Bowl. Make sure you subscribe. We have a ton of more previews to get through as we're ramping up the football content leading into kickoff. Like the video, and I'll see you all in the next one.